Just doing a little cleaning. It's not time for the big broom to come out for a real sweep because it's a Monday. We save that for, well, it's a Tuesday, but it's Monday bets. Anyway, we save the big broom for when we hit over the weekend. But this is going to have to do for now because we did sweep yesterday. So we're cleaning it all up. We're cleaning it all up. By the way, fantastic for cooking. Might be a paintbrush, but just saying. Patriots win. Obvious. We crushed. We had the Patriots every which way. And we hit the money line at plus 130. We hit the plus 3. We had them in a 7-point teaser at plus 10 with the Clippers. They won. And then the Bulls and Clippers both won. So we swept everything. Big day. Big Monday. And the wind was just hilarious in that game. I'll open up the box score and talk about it. Why don't we just jump in right now? Because after that, I know we're a little early today, but I just wanted to talk hoops. I want to get into some basketball talk. It seems like things are going to heat up soon because on December 15th, a lot of players are eligible to be traded that weren't eligible before. Because if you signed before the season, the team has to have you for X number of days, or December 15th, everything drops off and everyone's available to be traded. Same thing if you just acquire a new person. That can vary, that date, but the 15th is definitely when a lot of people become available, which is almost a week from now, and that tells me that Ben Simmons needs to go by then. Because Philly's just dominating. Embiid crushed last night. We'll look at that score. And they can't waste all this time, right? They have a team that can really win. So they got to get something. And it feels like they've been waiting for the 15th, and I wonder if they've been closer than people know and have just had to wait for that for all the contracts to make sense. So we'll dive into some of that, and then we'll give picks at the end. But first, let's talk about Monday. So let's go to the box score, shall we? Voila. So there's ridiculous wind in this game, right? But I still think my reasoning for taking this was very sound because the Pats are the better team. I mean, obviously. I heard people saying there's going to be so much wind, Josh Allen's big arm is going to be able to cut the ball through the wind better than Mac Jones's. Maybe there's something to that, but it's nonsensical to bet the game for that reason because Josh Allen is not accurate. And when you're not accurate and the wind is blowing you around completely, you're going to be less accurate. And he missed a lot of throws. He was 15 for 30. It's insane that they ran it 30 different times, but they did. They threw it 30 different times, rather, and they didn't get anything going on the ground. I mean, you look at, they tried 25 runs, and Josh Allen was the only one that had any success. They can't run the ball, and the Patriots are big and physical and run it a lot. So you have the better run offense, you have the better run defense in a game where you can't throw it. And it's like, oh, well, the person that's better in the trenches is going to win this game, and it bared out to be true. Whether you have to throw 3 times or 30 doesn't really matter. The coaching advantage worked. They couldn't stop the run even when they knew it was coming. This Bills defense isn't really built to stop the run. They're not great at it, and their secondary took a big hit when Tre'Davious White went out, so they had to send some help there, even though it wasn't a throwing game. But you're going to see that bear fruit in the future when they have to shade to their corners more than they did before, and they're going to be able to be more vulnerable against the run than they probably were tonight because they didn't need to help the secondary at all. And their secondary is still good, but still, I just thought this was, it wasn't easy necessarily because the elements were wild, but you're getting the QB who turns the ball over less. I mean, you're taking that out of the equation by not having Mac throw. Plus, Josh Allen just turns it over way more than Mac Jones to begin with. He fumbled in this one, although it was a weird handoff, but still. Should have thrown some picks. They didn't get caught. The only thing that scared me in this game was the Patriots' injury report. Duggar didn't play. Judon got hurt midway through the game. He seems fine, but he left for a little while. Adrian Phillips got hurt at the end. 3 good defensive players. They win anyway. It's big. They earned the number 1 seed. They really should keep it. Buffalo had 2 possessions late in New England territory and just couldn't score. They had one where they missed a field goal. I couldn't believe they tried a long field goal into the wind. Here's where the Bills really lost the game. You want to be honest. I can rip on Josh Allen all the live long day, and I love to do it. But they lost the game when they won the coin toss and decided to defer and not take the ball. Meanwhile, they could have just defended the correct end zone and been going with the wind in the second and fourth quarter. They don't do that. And instead, the Patriots get the wind in the second and fourth quarter, which means this field goal needs to go into the wind instead of with it. And it could have made a huge difference. Now, I wouldn't have tried this field goal anyway. But still, and you're down 4. So to me, this really just didn't make a lot of sense. But it was 4th and goal from the 15 in the wind. They weren't going to complete a 15-yard pass. Josh Allen took a bad sack here when Judon got hurt. I think it was that play that he left the game. But in any case, Buffalo was actually bailed out by a couple penalties. This horse collar on Dante Hightower on 2nd and long. It would have been a good tackle. It would have been 3rd down. It was a horse collar, but still. And there was another 15-yarder. I think the penalties looked worse for New England, but maybe I made that up. Where are we? Here. Yeah, about twice as many. Buffalo didn't really do much negatively. 4 for 13 on 3rd down, 2 for 12 on 3rd down. I mean, nobody could throw. So this is just a weird game, but you get the better coach, you get the better running game, you get the better running defense, you get the QB that turns the ball over less, and I'm comfortable with that. So it cashes. Now we look at the Patriots moving forward, and they have the Bills again, but they'll get that one at home. It'll be a completely different game because the Bills will be able to throw in that one, so we'll see what happens. They're at the Colts, and then they get 2 that they should really win, Jaguars and Dolphins. So you figure if the Pats get one of these, if they split with the Colts and Bills, right? And they could win out for sure. They could finish with 4 losses. But let's say they get 3 out of these 4. Colts, Bills, Jaguars, Dolphins, right? They go to 12-5. Who else in the AFC is going to get to 12-5? The Bills would need to win out, which is against Bucks, Panthers, Patriots, Falcons, Jets. I don't think they're going to go into Tampa and win that game, so that would be tough. The Ravens could, but I talked about on yesterday's show, tune back into that on Twitch or YouTube, that I'm out on the Ravens completely. I think they could go into a tailspin. I think they'll lose to the Browns this week. So I don't buy them winning out. The Bengals, the Bengals have to play Niners, Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns. If you win all those games, God bless you. The Steelers aren't winning out because they have Big Ben. The Browns aren't winning out because they have Baker Mayfield with one arm and refuse to go to their other quarterback. Who else is really going to do it? The Titans just don't look healthy enough. The Colts can't even get there, even though they could be one of the teams that actually could win out, maybe. And it's the Chiefs. So they got Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. That's not a cakewalk. It's definitely not. So it looks like, to me, it's shaping up to either be the Chiefs or the Patriots getting that home field advantage and the number 1 seed and the bye, which is massive. Because if you have to go into Foxborough to play Belichick in the cold with a really physical team that runs it well and stops the run really well and a quarterback that doesn't turn it over, we've seen this show before. And they weren't even the number 1 seed when Brady did it back in the day. So it's looking like it's going to be really hard to beat them, I think. But you got to just keep an eye on the Chiefs. If the Chiefs win out, then we're talking about something good. We could have Pats Chiefs again. That'd be fun. But it's shaping up to be a 2-team race, if you ask me. Unless the Bills beat the Pats and the Pats drop another game and the Bills somehow leapfrog them again, which is possible. But I just don't see it in the North or the South. So for all that AFC is wide open stuff, which it is at the bottom, but if we're talking about just the bye and the 1 seed, which seems more important this year than any other year, that game last night seemed like it really cemented who's going after this kind of thing. So we'll see. A lot of talent in the AFC. I mean, you look at the Dolphins at the 13 out of 16. It's 13 teams, literally, that are in the mix out of 16. The NFC has, I guess you could say like 12, but I don't count the Saints, Falcons, Panthers as being in it. Or the Eagles, really. It's just so much uglier. It's just so top-heavy, whereas the AFC is just more overall interesting. It's funny how that's been shaking out. Anywho, we crushed. Don't you worry about that. Picks stay hot. We'll give more at the end. Now, I want to talk about this December 15th date because it allows a lot more people to be traded. And I'm feeling a lot like the Sixers and the Blazers need to do something, right? And last time when we did the Trade Machine show, these two teams were still square in my radar. But now, with 2 more weeks that have passed, or however long it's been, it feels like urgency is upon us to like figure out the deals so when the 15th comes, we're ready to move on. For 2 reasons. One, the Sixers are good. They win this game last night, although the Hornets really gave them all they could handle. And by the way, the Hornets don't have LaMelo or Terry Rozier and are still playing really well because all of a sudden you can slot in Hayward, Oubre, and Bridges and Martin. And you still have PJ Washington. You have Boo Knight coming in off the bench finally. And you're like, oh, we're still okay. How many teams could lose their top 2 starting guards and be all right? LaMelo Ball, Ewing theory? I'm kind of into it. Either way, Embiid crushes 43, 15, and 7. The Hornets don't have anyone to defend him. But you know what? Who in the East has anyone to defend him? And this is my point for the whole show today, is that Joel Embiid is such a problem when healthy that Philly really needs to do something to get him another asset, whether it's Ben Simmons level or not, to go for a championship. Because in the East, the Nets can't guard Embiid. They don't have anybody to do it. The Bulls can't guard Embiid. They are very small. They're going to try to go the other way and just run and gun, but I don't think that's going to work, and Vucevic is going to get killed by him. The Bucks have Giannis. Who knows about Brook Lopez? He has a back injury. Beyond that, they don't have any real bigs. Bobby Portis isn't going to do it. Is Giannis going to guard Embiid the whole game? I don't know. It would be an interesting series. The Heat, Bam's hurt, so at least for now, they're going to not be able to defend Embiid at all, and we'll see what happens when he comes back. I think they said 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks. But still, that gives you a month and a half for Philly to really leapfrog a lot of these teams if they want to and just ride Embiid, which is important. And even come playoff time, it's like, all right, Bam might be the best person in the East to defend Joel Embiid, but he still has a huge size advantage, and he's still going to be pretty good. And all these other teams really have nobody because you want to give it the Bucks, okay. You want to give it the Heat, okay. The Wizards can't guard him. What is Gafford going to do? The Celtics can't guard him. They don't have a body. We've seen this series already. I mean, they might win the series anyway a different way, but Embiid is going to be a huge problem. The Hornets can't guard him. The Cavs actually can. They have Jared Allen. They have Evan Mobley. They have some bigs that can really do something, but are they going to have enough firepower to be in a situation where it matters? And if this is the situation, then even more reason for Philly to go get someone to contend with the other players on the Cavs and beat them that way. The Hawks have Capella and Collins, but Capella hasn't done anything this year, really, and they've proven that they can't defend anything. So I have no reason to believe they're going to be able to defend the Sixers. The Knicks obviously can't. The Raptors can't. I mean, they're just a nightmare that's going to be in the trade mix, I would assume. The Pacers are ready to blow it up, it seems. They have Sabonis and Turner, but they want to trade one of them now. We'll talk about that eventually. The Magic don't have anyone. They're not going to do anything. And the Pistons are not going to do anything. So you have 2 teams that can handle Embiid down low. Maybe 3 if you include the Cavs. So that means if you just surround Embiid with enough talent, you're going to go far. You really are going to go far. And you look at what they have already, and it's like Tobias Harris is perfect fit next to Embiid. He can play power forward. He doesn't need to be relied upon to play on the inside if he doesn't want to. He spaces it out for Embiid, but he can go in. Danny Green's a good shooter, no problem. But if you have to throw him in as a salary in a contract trade, you can. Seth Curry's great. Shake Milton's actually pretty good for them. Niang is okay off the bench. You got Drummond to back up Embiid, which you sorely need just in case. You got Tybal, Korkmaz, and Maxey, who didn't play in this one. Who's the real key. He missed his first game last night, but he's been super, super awesome. Now, here's the question. This guy is a stud to the point where I don't really want to trade him unless you're getting something really, really good for him. He's scoring 17 with 5 assists and 4 rebounds. He's shooting 36% from 3. He's shooting 46% from the field. So the trick is, can you keep Embiid, keep Harris, and keep Maxey, and hopefully keep Curry, and still upgrade by trading Ben Simmons? Because if teams are asking you to throw Maxey in, you better be getting a haul back, right? So we're talking about a situation where they can give up pretty much no one that's playing right now, or throw in a couple role players if necessary, which I don't think it will be because Simmons' contract is big enough as it is, that you can really super upgrade a team. And it's only going to make the morale better. So I see them having this huge opportunity, and they need to start doing it because they need to be able to keep Embiid fresh. They need him to be able to take games off. They need to start winning a lot more games. They're only 13-11. So you need whoever this person is that's going to come in to have time to not only gel with the team, but to carry them a couple times when Embiid's not there. Because he's going to need days off. We know this. Back-to-backs and stuff. And Drummond can slot right in. So you just need someone to create on the wing. Either on the wing or in the guard spot next to Maxey. That hopefully works and can defend a little bit. But this is a unique situation where, like, you can talk about the Blazers, and we will, but when we talk about the Blazers, it's a matter of, well, we're just getting rid of our talent. Like, this is either blowing it up or retooling entirely. We're not gonna win this year. The Sixers can win this year. What other team is there that can definitely win this year and needs to make a major move? Now, you could talk about the Nets, but the Kyrie Irving thing is too hard to figure out. So I'm not even going to throw them into a lot of these conversations because, A, the Nets aren't going to trade with the Sixers in all likelihood because they're competing with one another. I mean, you could do a Kyrie Ben Simmons swap, and I think it would work. I just don't see that happening. And who else is there, right? Like, the Bulls are pretty much locked into who they are. They have Vucevic. This is going to be what it is. They're running a 4-guard system. The Bucks can make ancillary moves, but nothing major. They're cap-strapped. The Heat seem like this is the team that they have. Once they signed Lowry, it's like, okay, this is what we're doing. The Wizards are an interesting one. They played well, and now they have really started to drop the ball, 4-6 in their last 10. The shine has rubbed off a little. So this is a team that could still do things with Dinwiddie, Beal, but I think they like who they are. I don't think they're going to make major moves, and I don't think they can necessarily win a championship, if we're being honest. The Celtics could do something, but in order to do that, they've been on a good run with Tatum and Brown. They're going to have to break those two up in order to make a big trade. So can you... That's a different situation than Philly's in, right? It's not just a straight upgrade. This is a unique thing. There's not a lot of teams that can do it. Even in the West, the Warriors can do it because they can trade Kuminga and those guys that they drafted, although they seem to be playing great and like Kuminga, and they're already going to get Clay back. They could trade Wiseman and do a straight upgrade because he's not playing. So the Warriors are also on the list, and we'll do their trade situations at some point. The Suns are pretty locked into who they are. The Jazz can make minor moves on the wing, but I don't see anything major. The Grizzlies just need to get Ja back. I don't know how they decide to do anything other than that. Clippers need Kawhi back, same thing. Lakers, unless they can move Russ, they can make minor moves, but I just don't see what major shakeups they're going to be able to do because they're cap-strapped. Dallas definitely can do something, but who's going to take Porzingis? Denver needs Murray back. Minnesota can do something. We talked about them in the last Trade Machine episode that I think Towns could get moved, or if you can find someone to take D'Lo, it would be a godsend, and you can always build back around to Anthony Edwards, but they have been playing better too, and maybe they just ride it out. But that's a team that can straight upgrade, but not one that can win. And so it's really just the Warriors and the Sixers and maybe Boston. And Brooklyn if you can include the Kyrie thing. But not that many teams that can straight up upgrade their team at the deadline if they want to or before the deadline without hurting their chances to win this season and really gunning for a title. So today we do the Sixers, and another day we'll do the Warriors. Maybe tomorrow. So if you look at the teams where Ben Simmons could go, right? Portland is going to be one of them. Okay? We're not going to include the Nets. We're not going to do the Bulls. Bucks, no. Heat, no. Wizards, let's throw them onto the list. Maybe there's a Beal thing there. Hornets, I don't know what the Hornets can really do, but let's throw them on the list because they have pieces. They have a lot of depth. The Cavs, throw them on the list. Just trying to find maybes. Just a bunch of maybes. The Hawks, I don't see happening, really. I don't think they're willing to give up Collins. I'd be very surprised by that. And I don't think there's going to be a deal for Bogdanovich, Reddish, Hunter, Herder kind of things. So unless they're willing to give up John Collins, which would seem weird to me, we'll throw him on the list. We'll try to do a trade machine for all these teams with Ben Simmons. The Knicks are definitely on the list. The Raptors are definitely on the list. The Pacers are definitely on the list. It's one of my favorites. I'm actually going to move that up. Pistons and Magic can't do anything. Warriors could trade for Ben Simmons if they wanted to. That would be wild, but throw it on the list. The West is more locked in. The Suns can't. The Jazz really can't. The Grizzlies don't have a package to give unless they give Ja. The Clippers can't do it because they have Kawhi. Lakers can't really do it unless they trade Russell Westbrook, and the Philly's not going to do that. Dallas, we could try to find something, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then it's just, it can't be Denver. It could be Minnesota. We already have Portland here. And that's it. Or the Pelicans if they... Okay, we'll do the Pelicans, right? So here are the deals. Some of them we need to go into the trade machine for, and some of them we do not. But let's start with Portland. And let's go Philly, Portland, and there's only one thing that can really happen here. And it has to be centered around McCollum. Because Portland is not going to trade Dame to Philly for Ben Simmons because they know that they can't win with McCollum and Simmons without Dame. So that's not going to happen. If they're trading for Ben Simmons, it's to pair with Dame to try to get him to stay, right? So I don't know if that was true a couple of weeks ago, but it definitely seems true now. Dame's trade value is lowered because he's hurt. They can still trade him, but a trade of him is blowing it all up, in my opinion. So if you're trading Dame, you're probably doing it for picks, and McCollum probably goes as well, and you're acknowledging defeat, which they might do because they have a new GM and they have a new coach. Their front office is ready to rebuild, except the roster's exactly the same. So it's lagging behind a little bit, and it wouldn't shock me if a bad team who traded their picks for Covington, traded for Powell, tried to make it work and it's not, would say, all right, let's just reload completely, get some young assets and picks back and bottom out. Because you can still bottom out for this season, and then you could go get a good player. But that's why I'm saying the 15th is so important, right? Because even for the Blazers, if you want to tank, you better trade Dame now. And now meaning the 15th because you need all the pieces to be able to work on a lot of these teams. Like Korkmaz for Philly can't be traded until the 15th. That's why he has this. It says January 14th. Oh, so it is January 14th for him because he signed late. And Niang is December 14th. Most people are earlier. December 14th for Drummond. Korkmaz is a weird one. That would have to wait till January 14th. But Danny Green's December 14th. Norman Powell's January as well. So, you know, maybe some of these deals do have to wait till January, but I don't think a lot of them do. Anyway, the point is the Blazers could blow it up with Dame, but they're not going to do that. So let's say it's a McCollum deal. So we put Simmons here, right? And then we put McCollum here. The salaries already match up, but McCollum is not enough to get Ben Simmons, okay? So we're going to have to throw in picks, and we're going to have to throw in some young asset that they would actually want, or a player that they think can help them right now that doesn't cost a ton. You don't want Nurkic because you have Embiid and Drummond already, unless you got Drummond to go the other way, but there's no reason for that. He's on a cheaper deal, and he's just as good as Nurkic, fills the same role. You could bring Covington along if you thought that you needed another wing, but I don't know if there's minutes for him on this team. And I don't know. The problem is they don't have any real young assets to throw in to sweeten, and the Sixers are trying to win now. So maybe they'd want to bring Covington with, or Larry Nance, but I think they'd prefer the one-year deal. It's hard to say, because there seems like no one else I can throw in. I mean, you can get Greg Brown, but he hasn't done anything or even played, really. And you're definitely not giving Maxey in this kind of deal. So it really just looks like Simmons for McCollum. You could throw in Covington, and then you could send something. You could send something back. Need $10 million. Can you really bring on Covington? I don't know if you can. I don't think they have anything. They could give Korkmaz back in January. And Niang. That's what it would be. That's what it would be. And we can't put it in here, but it would make sense because that adds up to $8 million, and then we're close enough. So it would probably be Simmons, but then they're giving up a lot. You know what? They don't need to give up Korkmaz and Niang. They could probably just not take Covington. Does it just look like this? Does it just look like Simmons for McCollum and 2 first-round picks? Is that enough? If it's me, and that's the best deal I can get, and the Sixers are ready to go for it, I think that helps them a lot. You put McCollum next to Maxey, that's a really good backcourt. Like, really good. And then you have Embiid, Harris, and then you have the Danny Green, Seth Curry, Korkmaz, Niang, Tybal, Milton bench. Or we need a 5th starter, but, you know, that looks good to me. But they want more for Simmons, obviously. And I don't know if they care about getting picks back. So, it's a possibility, but we're going to have to get away from the Blazers. Okay? So cross the Blazers off the list. They have their own deals we can do for Dame to completely blow it up. But that's the direction I think they're going to have to go. And we'll do that another day. So let's do the Timberwolves. If the Timberwolves want Simmons, it's going to have to be Towns. And that, so let me write down the options that we have here, right? Let me take a note. What was the first one we said? Simmons for McCollum. Simmons for Towns. Okay. There's nothing more that Minnesota is going to be able to throw in. They can give... you can't really do this anyway unless you believe that you could play Towns and Embiid together, which you can't. And other than that, you're not going to get Edwards. And D'Angelo Russell, you don't really want, right? Unless they decided that they would throw in picks and they believed that with Simmons, Towns, and Edwards, they can do something. But is Minnesota going to give up picks to do this? They could. It would make them relevant. I think Simmons, Towns, and Edwards is actually really kind of good. If you can put 2 shooters out there with them, which they don't really have, but if they could get them, that'd be pretty cool. But they don't want D'Angelo Russell, right? So I don't think these 2 teams have a deal to be made very much. As much as Simmons could make sense on Minnesota, I think it would have to be for D'Angelo Russell and 2 firsts. I don't know if that even makes any bit of sense, but the McCollum one definitely makes sense. So let's move on from the Timberwolves. Let's go to the Pacers, because I think they make sense. And they've already said, they've been terrible, and they already said they want to trade either Sabonis or Turner. I think Sabonis is better, but I could also see Rick Carlisle wanting to keep Turner and build around a center, because you don't know exactly how Sabonis fits into your team. And I do think Sabonis could fit next to Embiid, but can he fit there? Because you can't get Turner, right? Same reason you can't get Towns. Can you do Sabonis, Harris, Embiid? Does that make sense to rotate those 3 as your big men when Embiid is going to have to be playing a lion's share of the minutes? Can you play these guys together? Can Tobias Harris play the 3? I don't know. I don't know. Because when teams go small on you, if you play the Bulls and you have Sabonis, Harris, Embiid out there and they're running 4 guards, aren't they just going to run wild on you? And you're going to kill them the other way and just be huge. But that's not really how it works. Although Sabonis and Harris can both shoot 3s. Can one of them defend a wing guard? Ken Harris is really the question. I don't know. But if you could get Sabonis and I don't think they're going to do and LeVert, but they're willing to trade LeVert. Maybe you get both, and then they throw back in salary filler. The question is, then what is Indy left with? Ben Simmons and Miles Turner and Brogdon and oops. That seems weird. I just don't know if these 2 teams match up that well for a deal. Unless you did Simmons for, I don't know what you would do. You can't just get LeVert and salary filler. That won't work. It has to be Sabonis. And when is Brogdon eligible to be traded? And he's not. He has a no trade, I guess? Why April 2022? That's weird. Extension prevents him from being traded for the next 6 months. Means he can't be traded this season. All right. So they decide to extend him, and they can't trade him. They didn't think they would be this bad. So that throws a little wrench into things. Because, like I said, unless it's Sabonis, I don't know. You can't do Turner. And so I don't think... I'm just going to write it down because we're doing all the options. But Simmons for Sabonis and LeVert. I don't think this makes Indy better. It's just if they wanted to really change it up, and Carlisle thought that he could do something with Simmons, Brogdon, Miles Turner, I guess. But I would imagine if they're trading Sabonis and LeVert, they're doing it for picks and they're ready for a rebuild. So I don't think that D'Angelo Russell one really makes sense, and I don't really think this Sabonis one makes sense. But we're just putting them on a list of possible things because there's not that many. So we crossed off the Pacers. Let's go to the Wizards. This one makes sense, right? If Washington decides that they're done, you do Beal, you do Simmons, and then you just have to figure out what else there is. And if you could put Beal next to if you could find a way to not put Maxey in this deal, that's great. But then what are the Warriors doing? I mean, what are the Wizards doing? Like, are you trying to be good then? Are you thinking that Dinwiddie... Are you thinking Simmons makes this team better than Beal does because he fits some of the things that they don't have? Like, could you do a lineup of Simmons, Dinwiddie, Caldwell Pope, Kuzma, Harrell, and you got some more size and defense and toughness, and maybe you think that fixes something. I don't think that works. Could it be a combo of when can Dinwiddie get traded? He can get traded in a week, yeah. So could it be you want to put Beal and Simmons together, you trade Dinwiddie, who's $17 million, then you need another $15 million or so, and it could be because Dinwiddie would help Philly, because I think you could play Dinwiddie and Maxey next to each other the same way you do Beal and Dinwiddie. So it could be Dinwiddie and Denny Advia and maybe Rui Hachimura. But there's no way that Philly does that. Right? I'll write it down, but like it's absolutely nonsensical, but I just want the final list to prove how nonsensical these deals can be, because there's not that many of them. And I don't think the Beal thing makes sense, because what are the Wizards can't do anything with Dinwiddie, like just replacing Beal with Simmons. Do they think that's much better? I don't think so. I'll write it down for Beal, or Simmons for what did we say? Dinwiddie plus Avdia plus you could throw Kispert in there, and that would make sense, or Rui, whichever one they want. And the Wizards are just trying to put those two together, and then the Sixers, that's makes sense because it improves the Sixers, because you could get 3 players into your rotation. I don't know if they need to do that, and I think they're gonna want more for Simmons, right? So let's get the Wizards out of here. Who's next? The Hornets. Hornets are up. Charlotte. Now, it's obviously not going to be LaMelo. Rozier can't be traded until next season. Same as Brogdon. He got an extension. Oubre can be traded this week. Gordon Hayward is an interesting one. I think he could fit in Philly. I do. I don't know that the Hornets are willing to necessarily get rid of him, but you put Simmons and LaMelo together and you start talking about some real shit. So maybe it's like a Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington kind of thing. That matches up. That's not bad. It's not bad. So let's put that down. Simmons for Hayward plus PJ Washington. All right. Let's move on to the Cavs. Cleveland. They are going to have to give... Now, they're definitely not going to give up Garland. And they're not going to give up Mobley. And they can't do Allen. First of all, they extended him. And second of all, it doesn't make sense. And the problem is Sexton is out for the season. So he doesn't help Philly. So I actually don't know that there's a deal to be made here unless you give up Garland. And I don't know that the Cavs would want to do that. Maybe. Let's just say yes. And you give back Kevin Love because the salary has to make sense. And then you throw, I don't know, Springer and Milton. And the salaries work out, right? So Simmons plus filler. And the filler will be implied on this list anyway. For Love, Garland and Love. Gotta put Garland first. It's a Christmas season. Okay? And I'll put this on the screen after I'm done taking notes. I need a better widget kind of thing to write on the screen with, but I'll figure that out another day. Let's talk Hawks. We had the Collins deal that we talked about. Collins can't be traded till next year. Okay, because he just signed the extension too. So that isn't going to work. They don't want Gallo. and they're not going to get Trae Young, and a DeAndre Hunter deal just isn't going to be enough. So, cross the Hawks off. Let's talk Knicks. Now, there's a deal for the Knicks, I would imagine. Do they want him? I don't know. But it could be Barrett, and you give back Knox, and you probably have to give up Toppin, and you probably... Kemba would have to go in the deal in a week. So you add his $9 million, you're at 28, and then you give back. Maybe they don't want Knox, and instead they want Alec Burks, and then you get 3 players into your rotation. They probably want quickly. And Kemba. I mean, this would be the Knicks trying to say they want Simmons, Randall, Fournier, Rose, Nerlens, Taj, and do something with that. Now, is this worth it? I don't know. But Kemba's $9 million brings it to 36, and maybe you give either Toppin or Quickly, probably. And honestly, they're not going to take 3 shooting guards, right? So it would need to be Barrett, and probably not getting Quickly. And so maybe this does something. I don't know. Knicks give up a pick or something. Simmons for Barrett, Burks, and Toppin. I mean, the Knicks, who knows? They would probably do this, I guess, to put Simmons and Randall together, with Fournier spacing the floor and Rose still there. Oh, and Kemba in this deal too. Now, would Philly be able to get all these guys into their rotation, though? Probably not. But it's just a depth move, and you get RJ Barrett to replace Simmons? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Let's talk Raptors. I think this one makes arguably the most sense. Siakam, the salary works, and you would want probably do they give up Scotty Barnes in this kind of deal? They probably don't want to. They definitely need a guard. You can get the Dragic expiring. Is he playing, though? Didn't he get hurt? He wants to play with Dallas. All right. Well, can't always get what you want. So you throw him in, and you try to put salary going the other way, but it would have to be Danny Green. So that's 10 more million. And do you even want to do that? Maybe, yeah. Simmons and Danny Green for Siakam and Dragic is not really sexy. And you have to give up more salary, actually. So it'd have to be Milton and Springer. That gets you to 36. Plus the 10 is 46. And that's probably enough. So Simmons plus filler for Siakam and Dragic. Starting to see why this deal hasn't come together, right? It's hard to get another big player in there. Now, you want to say the Warriors deal is possible, sure. But, like, is anyone actually going to help the Warriors? It's pretty silly. But I'll throw it in here. And we do Wiseman. We do Kuminga. We need salary badly. I don't know if you give up Looney, because then you already gave up Wiseman. You don't really have a center. Moody. Who? I mean, does Wiggins have to go the other way, and do they do that? And is there enough room on the roster for this kind of shit? Because can you run Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Green? Yeah, Poole gets moved out of the lineup, right? He probably goes. So Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, Poole. But you don't really want Wiseman because you have Embiid. So that doesn't work. So you need Kuminga. Yeah. It's going to have to be Wiggins. It's going to have to be Wiggins, and then you put Danny Green in there. Okay, so Simmons for Wiggins plus Kuminga plus Moody plus Poole. And I'll put that all trades need some salary filler, and draft capital to balance. But these are frameworks. And I'll post this at MikeTheMush Sports on the Twitter. So yeah, that's the only deal the Warriors could really do is putting Wiggins in there. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Does Philly do that? I don't know. Maybe. And then Dallas, which is basically just anything but Luka. I guess it has to be Porzingis. I don't think you want him, so I don't see how that makes sense. But I guess if we're just doing argument's sake, you can get that plus. I mean, what do they have to offer, right? Just really nothing. They're going to give up draft picks when they're already. I mean, maybe. I don't know. When can Hardaway be traded? Not till next year. Luka's not being traded. Bullock can go, but he probably would. So that's $10 million. And they do have a trade exception. And Mavs have a huge trade exception, so they can actually... They can take on more salary if they needed to. But I don't think they want to trade Danny Green because he's just going to space the floor for you better. Even if you sit him on the bench, like, what's the difference? Korkmaz can't be traded. So I don't think there's a deal here with Porzingis, especially since it's a nightmare fit anyway. Yeah. So I'm not even going to put that on the list because it's so ridiculous. The Pelicans. Now, the Pelicans, I wouldn't do this, but you could do an Ingram deal. That would make sense. So let's just, I mean, and then you, Hart can go, Graham can go, but this is mostly what the deal looks like. And I think this makes some sense for both sides. Because it's insurance for Zion. Zion and Simmons together is scary in the open court if you have three shooters around them. And defensively, they could be really good and athletic and big and strong. I don't know if that's enough shooting to survive, but it's a thought. And it definitely helps Philly now, big time. And if these are the deals available to you, it's like, maybe we do think about doing that. So this is what I got. This is what I got. Giving away the picks. Hate to see it. This is it. The only available deals seem to be, put it right next to here. Right there. Simmons for McCollum, Simmons for Ingram. The Simmons for McCollum thing works. The Simmons for Ingram thing almost works. The Simmons for D'Angelo Russell and picks, I don't know if that works. I don't think so. It's very unlikely. Oh, we didn't do the Celtics, but we talked about that a lot, so we'll put Simmons for Brown in there. So there you go. Sabonis and LeVert, maybe we move that up a little more likely. The Beal thing. The Wizards deals are interesting. The Hayward and PJ Washington one I kind of like. So let's put that up on the list. It's annoying me. Okay. The Russell one has to move down. Hayward and Washington. We're putting a break between the ones that make sense and the ones that don't. Simmons for Beal. I mean, maybe. I just don't really think so, but I guess you never know. This other one seems to make more sense for me, this Wizards one with Dinwiddie, Avdia, Kispert, and Rui, because that really changes the depth for Philly this year, and the Wizards would be more towards building something different at least. The Garland and Love one isn't terrible. I don't think the Cavs are going to want to do that, but I'd put it about here. And what else? Siakam and Dragic, maybe. But these seem to be the only options to me. These ones seem very unlikely. Right? So this is it. There you have it. There you have it. How many deals? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 real semi-realistic ones, and a dozen that are kinda possible. And I don't really know if they are. But I couldn't get anywhere else. Everyone says Simmons got to go, and I agree completely. But for that to happen, you're going to need to accept the fact that you might not get an all-star back. But you can get a player that can help you win the championship right now, and I think they need to do that. Because the longer this drags out, the worse it is. He's not coming back. He's not playing for you. You have to just do something here. The best ones... I like the Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington thing because I think it allows them to go for it right now. I love the Garland and Kevin Love trade. That would be really nice because it allows them to build for the future. Maxey and Garland together, that would be good. Siakam, Dragic, I don't really love. The Brandon Ingram thing makes some sense. It does. He'd be big. He can score it. He can handle the ball. The Jaylen Brown thing makes sense. I've been saying that for a while. You're not going to get Maxey with it, though. You're just not. Not at this point. And some of these are okay. So we'll see if any of them come to fruition. But these are the kind of deals you're going to have to accept for Ben Simmons. You're not getting a top 10 player. You're getting some good players on here, though. Guys that are capable of making all-star teams. McCollum, Ingram, Brown, Sabonis, Hayward, Garland, Siakam, Beal. Those are real good players. Like, that's as good as it's pretty much going to get. So you got to try something there. There you have it. We have conquered the Ben Simmons portion of the trade machine. We'll do more episodes like this. Maybe tomorrow we do a Warriors version of one as we approach this 14th date, because I believe it's like an early trade deadline to me. I really think it's going to happen. Maybe it won't, and maybe we'll do this more as the trade deadline approaches. But today was the Ben Simmons one, and we still did We still need to do Warriors, and what was the other team? Blazers. So we'll see how that goes. Those are the three biggies. How about picks for today? Before we wrap, let me pull them up. I like two things. One of them straight, one of them a parlay. I like the Nets money line at the Mavs. I don't think the Mavs are good. I think they've been overinflated. I think Luka's great and will put on a show against this Nets defense for sure. I also do worry about the Nets. I don't like their long-term prospects. But I like the idea of Aldridge being able to defend Porzingis. I don't think Porzingis is going to have an easy time. He never does. But he's been playing pretty well lately, and the Nets don't have traditional bigs. But I just think this is a 2v1, right? If we're talking about Porzingis and Doncic versus Harden and KD, why are the Nets only 2-point favorites? This is just me fading the Mavs. I just don't believe in the Mavs as much as I believe in the Nets. And I don't think either of these teams are going to win the championship unless they make changes. But I think the Mavs are a pretty broken team. I really think it's just Luka insane usage because they don't have anyone else. They need his usage to go down, actually, so he can stay fresher and have more efficiency, which he already is unbelievable at. I'm not knocking him. They just need someone else to handle the ball. And I don't think the Jalen Brunsons of the world are going to get it done. So I like the Nets to win this game. I'll take them on the money line. And then I have a parlay here, college basketball, going a little bit further down the rankings than we normally do. But I like Vanderbilt home against Temple and DePaul home against Duquesne. Vanderbilt has Scottie Pippen Jr. Temple can't defend. They're like the 150th best defense in the country, according to Ken Pom. So I'm fading them against a superstar kid that's going to really score a lot. And DePaul is just fine in the Big East. They're not very good. But Duquesne is really bad in a bad conference. Offensively and defensively, they rank in the 200s in the country. So that's just me fading a bad team. I'll take a Big East team, even if it's bottom of the barrel Big East. They're used to playing better competition. So that parlay gets you minus 160, Vanderbilt and DePaul, and then Nets money line at minus 135. That's what we're going with on a Tuesday. Basketball picks have been hot. Football picks have been hot. We've been doing really well lately. Follow at MikeTheMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram. It'll be cool. You get up-to-the-minute tweets from me when I'm freaking out about how the picks might lose, but they'll probably win, and I'm faking confidence, and we're sharing memes. You know how it goes. Subscribe on the YouTube, MikeTheMush. That would be very helpful. I hope you hit the notification bell on Twitch so you can come in and join the chat and talk about this stuff as it unfolds. And we'll be back tomorrow. Peace out.